Excited to be.
And I'm excited too, Meredith.
Oh, good, good. Well, here we are. We're on LinkedIn. We're on, hopefully, because last time I did not broadcast onto LinkedIn when I was talking to Jean Petrino, who's also in Confidently Speaking. So, what we do in Confidently Speaking, speaking of which, not to sound redundant, is we're constantly learning how to pivot and improvise. So, that's what we did. It's all good. I'm glad that we're here to have a conversation today. And what I'd like to do is introduce you to the listeners, to people who are watching right now. So this is Cheri Ruckus, and what's cool is that we met several years ago. I believe it was through Boulder Digital Arts.
Right, right. We were both
Yeah,
hanging out there.
we were both hanging
Yeah.
out there. I was renting a desk space. I think you had an office space, maybe.
Yep.
So props to Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Um, and we had a great lunch and we've stayed in touch since. And now Cheri, who's with Business Victories, is a member of Also Confidently Speaking. And I'm just delighted, just really delighted that we have reconnected. And it's been such a pleasure seeing where you're at with your business right now compared to where you were was almost 10 years ago when we had that
Right,
meeting.
right. Totally.
And you're now entering into this other phase with your business, which is really exciting. And just to give people who are watching right now a little context to what you do, you're a business coach, you have Business Victories. Uh, it's called the Victory Circles. No, tell me the name of your blog again.
Victory letter. The
Victory
victory letter.
Letter. I'm so sorry. So you've had
No,
Victory Letter and you've been writing that for how many years now? Consistently?
21 years every Monday morning. Yeah.
Have you ever missed a beat?
There's some major life things. My mother passed away and
Mhm.
some things along those natures that definitely just knocked me out of the game, but only for a week. And actually, when I came back to write about it, it was like, because it's really medicine for me as
Mhm.
well as my readers, because
Mhm.
I'm just able to share heartfelt, real life expressions of who I am and what I'm feeling. What makes it work is that other people are feeling the same thing, right? Sometimes we feel so isolated in what we feel, but a lot of other people are feeling the same that we are.
I really appreciate that you just said that because it's very true. Well, I want to speak into that a little bit, but first I want to applaud you the fact that you consistently for 21 years have been writing a blog post serving your audience because that's not easy a lot of people I'm imagine who are watching who are business owners, that's not an easy thing to do. So I'm applauding you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And it's getting into the rhythm of it. We'll talk
Mhm.
about that more with the bright, shiny object, but it's getting into that rhythm and flow. And I actually, summer before last, I said, you know what, I'm going to do it every other week. And so that there was that little break, and I did it for about a month. And I said, now I'm out of the habit and I don't like it. So I'm going back to every week. It was easier,
Oh,
right?
that's
Because I
fun.
had to get that engine going again.
That
So,
momentum. Yeah. Well, thank you
mhm.
for sharing your stories and what you said about when we do share something that's true to ourselves and honoring our story, it helps other people reflect upon their lives, their stories, their similarities, and that's what builds empathy. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you about bright, shiny objects because that's what we posted. That's what this conversation is about
It
today.
is. It
So
is.
tell me, what's a bright? We all have our ideas of what a bright, shiny object is, right? A lot of people are like squirrel, but what is your definition of bright, shiny object?
My definition is that it is that idea, dream, hope that is out there that comes to us. And as entrepreneurs and small business people, we definitely don't lack them. We have usually too many of them, and it's kind of corralling it, lassoing it, if you will, to get it to make sense. But it's not a bad thing. And I was reading through some of the comments on the post about this live, and I like there was some kind of negative kind of tone, and there's the whole thing about bright shiny object syndrome,
Yeah.
and the syndrome is really the part that when we get tied up in it and we're just spinning our wheels, that hamster wheel, and not we can't get to it because we're just constantly trying to do, and so the bright shiny object itself is a positive thing. It's how we deal with it and incorporate it into our lives, into our businesses that make the big difference.
Can you tell me what inspired this for you to write about bright, shiny objects?
Yeah. So back in the spring, someone had said to me just out loud, because we were talking about ADHD,
Mhm.
and they had said, "Have you ever been diagnosed with it?" Because I definitely get what I like to call the spins, right? Where I'm just like, "Okay, I'll do this, and then I'll do that, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that."
Mhm.
And so I thought, you know what? I have never been clinically diagnosed with it. I'm going to go do that. So I went and did that, and I, sure enough, have what's called inattentive ADHD, which is not a there's different levels of it, but that's what I have is inattentive, which keeps it hard for me to get focused. I, tend to, move all over the place. So then I really started saying, because as an entrepreneur, I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I've been a coach for the last 20 years, and I've watched it in my clients. That just it's that whole shooting yourself in the foot because but what about that dream? And what about that dream? And one thing I will say that anybody with ADHD, myself included, should have a coach, because the coach helps to rein you in when you're like, oh yeah, but no, I'm starting this business now. But
Right.
and it's like, but what about that other business that you were still doing and that you haven't gotten off the ground yet? So that's for me, and it's been and I had some time this summer that I really wanted to give to this because I think it's such an important element, and because it's caused so many small business failures, because we have to wear so many hats, right?
Right.
It's not that we have the choice of that, and so it's really. I decided this was the time. This was the time to sit down, start writing about it, researching it, and really looking at this. There's many elements to it. There's cognitive behavioral therapy that is one element that you can really research. But I think there's also some very practical things that one can do to, as I look at myself and what gets me past getting hung up and not, as that bright shiny object isn't shining anymore. Like, what? Come back, come back to me, and ways to help myself, my clients, to really find the solutions to what the muck that they might be in themselves.
Mhm. So it's that I just wanna get some clarification around, like, when that bright, shiny object starts to dull out for us, it's not because it's not bright and shiny over there, it's maybe there's a cloud over it, and we've kind of put the muck in front of it, and
Totally.
so, what I'm hearing you say is it's really important that those of us who I would put myself in bright, shiny object, place too. I have big ideas all the time. I do execute most of them. Some I've put on a shelf. I always say I'm putting this one on the shelf. I don't ever forget about it, but I am hard on myself if I don't finish it. That's something that I'm working on.
Mhm.
Um, but I
Right,
would
what to let go and what to hold on to.
Yeah, because sometimes it is worth letting go of, and that's okay, and we should be gentle and give ourselves grace with that, but I'm hearing you say, like, it's really helpful to have a coach that's gonna lead you through the muck to get back to that shining object, because sometimes a lot we put a lot of our heart, put a lot of our soul, we put a lot of our time, our energy into that shiny object, and clouds are gonna happen, or another
Well, and
shiny object's
and
gonna pop up over here.
well, and I love the idea of the clouds too, because there's the cloud of fear, right? That
Yeah.
all of a sudden, think
Mhm.
about how many times you got really close to making that bright, shiny object, that you were able to hold it and really have it to be yours. But
Right.
then you pushed it away because fear comes up, perfectionism comes up. There's many elements that come up that we push it away. And when we look to the new bright, shiny object, we get that dopamine rush that we
Right.
don't have to well, you know what? But here's this other bright, shiny object that I don't have this fear around yet because I haven't gotten that far. I haven't taken all the steps to get there yet. And so that is the other piece of it, is that and when you look at people who just constantly talk about starting a business and never end up starting the business because they love the dopamine rush of the idea of starting a business, but they can't get past the fear and the steps that it takes and the actual hard work. And not that they're not hard workers, but it's just, it's all that. to get there. It's much easier to sit with all these lovely, bright, shiny objects around us, right?
Yeah,
Without
it is,
having to
and it
pull up
I
our
thi
sleeves.
what do you think the fear is driven by? Do you think it's fear of rejection? Like, there's that dopamine rush of, like, I gotta get a business, but, oh, I gotta get clients."
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's also there's a fear of success. Like once I
Mm,
get this and it happens, what am I going to do with that success? And it's that fear of it not working out. Of I just heard the story a couple days ago about the woman who started Canva, and how she just with every no, she just kept saying, okay, I have to make another appointment because I just got to know. What was he was talking about? Jay Shetty was talking about to grow with your nose and go, okay, that's fine. That didn't work. And getting feedback from what he had said is that she got a lot of feedback from people who why they were saying no to her so that she could improve her product. And because I think that's the biggest thing. And if you think about, and I know for myself, my very first business I owned for 16 years, and it was not easy, let me tell you. uh, but I just kept going, right? I mean, this business
mhm.
I've had, my coaching practice I've had for 22 years, and it's just like, what's keeping me going, what is moving me forward, and really looking at that, and in ourselves, and each of us, I think, has a different motivator that moves us forward.
Mhm.
And whether it's the people around us, that's a big piece of it as well. And because that can be, oh my gosh, the people that you have in your lives that are either saying yay or nay, just to keep going. um, we were talking about grasshoppers. I'm for everyone, I'm a passionate gardener. And
Mhm.
last night, my husband was just shaking his head at me, going, "What is with you? Like, how can you put so much time, effort, and energy?" Because we've been inundated with grasshoppers this year. And so I'm doing everything in my power to get rid of these grasshoppers because they will decimate the garden. And so it's like, that is so important to me. And it's timely. Like, I don't have, many of us in our businesses, we don't have the luxury of time to go, oh, I'll get to that next week or whatever.
Right.
I mean, some things we do, but those things that are going to kill our business, we've got to get to them right now. So it's looking at that as well.
It's like it's being really clear about your purpose, and I'm curious because we hear that a lot. We hear what you have to have a purpose. Can you
Mhm.
tell me just give an example for our audience here. What was your purpose, your driving force that's kept you in business as a coach for the last 20 plus years?
It was really my life as an entrepreneur before I became a coach, and
Mhm.
knowing the pain of trying to, as a woman, trying to juggle it all, trying to be mom, trying to be, the mentor leader of my company, trying to do all of that, and not getting any help. And when I first heard about coaching, I was like, "Holy moly! You mean there's actually somebody out there who could help me?" And that I
Mhm.
don't have to
Mhm.
figure this all out by myself. And it's really what drove me to become a coach. And then it's my clients. I mean, even now I'm kind of thinking about semi-retirement. What am I doing? And the thought of leaving some of my clients, I just like, you know, I I love it. I love the work
Yeah.
too, you know.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, let's continue to talk about this new phase in you as a coach, as this thought leader. What is it that you've talked about? You're working on the shiny object. You're talking about, you also have uh, a couple of other things that I would like to discuss, which is your morning routine. If you could talk into that,
Mhm.
I would love that.
Okay.
And then you have a couple other nuggets of gold that we've talked about in the past that I would love for you to share. But let's start with that morning routine.
Okay. So about 7 years ago,
Mhm.
I had gone to something, and we were talking about meditation. It was a retreat situation. And I said, "Oh yeah, that's great for other people, but I can't meditate." Again, ADHD, bing, bing, bing. And so, and this woman had shared with me, she said, "But you don't have to just sit there and go quiet and still. Like, meditation is different for everyone.
Mhm.
It's just giving yourself that time." And I started doing that, and I started bringing in reading, I started bringing in listening to music, just whatever was in, journaling, whatever I was feeling in that moment. and it's become what I call my morning momentum practice. And I sadly see too many people who get up in the morning, and why are we spinning? Because we start spinning the minute we get out of bed. Okay, I'll get my coffee and then I'll do this. I enjoy like a big part of my morning momentum is savoring that cup of coffee, because I love my first cup of coffee in the morning instead of sipping it in between running around, right?
Oh my God, that's
Putting makeup
me.
on.
That's me. My husband's always walking over to me and handing me my cup in random places in the house because I'm honestly like this, leaving it like on random shelves and tabletops. And so I
So it's just sitting with it, sitting with that
yes.
cup, adoring the cup of coffee. I mean,
Mm,
this time of year, I love it because I'm out in the garden. This morning, oh my gosh, I was sitting there and I put my yoga mat out and I've got my journaling stuff and my planner. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. But I look up and there over the mountains, I live here in Colorado, and over the front range, or the back range actually, was the full moon. And I hadn't even, I it was kind of cloudy when I went out this morning, and I just
mhm,
looked up and it was just like, I call it like butterflies in my heart, right? When you just feel
mhm,
that spiritual part of yourself that just goes, wow. I've been thinking of it lately, and in my work, writing about this, as spiritual confidence. It's like
mm,
I touch into me before I touch
mhm.
into anybody else, and it makes me a happier, I don't want to say better, but just a more fulfilled person, because I've tapped into me first before I let anybody else suck the life out of me.
Okay, so you're a mom, okay, and I know your kids are grown, but I would
Yeah,
imagine there's moms that are gonna be walking this like, "Oh, yeah, right, I'm gonna get 5 minutes
right.
to
And
myself.
I hear it
That's
all the time
awesome,
with clients.
lady."
Yeah.
So
And the thing is,
yeah.
here's the thing. As a mom, what do? We're teaching our kids good habits.
Yeah.
And this is so important. Goldie Hawn has her arms all around this about teaching children how to meditate. And it's
Mhm.
that whole thing of, this is my quiet time and I'm going to have this quiet time. And just imagine your kids seeing that. I mean, my
Mm,
kids are both meditators now, which just it totally, it's that thing as a mom that makes my heart sing, because
mm,
they both loved it, especially my son. He's just amazing. I mean, he's really built his whole career now around that, and the importance of quieting your mind and getting into yourself. So, it's what do we want to teach our kids? And if it's to also be out of control and be spinning all over the place, then
it's a
that's what we
choice.
do. Yeah,
Can
it is a
I
choice.
share I wanna share something little here because it might be helpful too. Just my I have a husband who also meditates, and this is what I find very interesting, is that he doesn't get disturbed. With the door open, doesn't get disturbed.
Mhm,
When I sit
mhm.
down, it's the dog, it's the kid, it's the things, and a friend of mine, which it is just what it is, and it's my own doing, I'll take responsibility for that, but a friend of mine suggested her home similar every time she tried to meditate. So she said what worked for her was she just sits in the living room where all the chaos lives on purpose and sits in that corner chair and meditates and allows that energy to just circulate around her. And
And I
I wanted to put that out there that it doesn't necessarily have to be like this sanctuary time in a quiet
right,
space that
in the
sometimes
perfect nirvana, right?
right.
Whoa.
Right. 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 Well, tell me
Um,
about your planning, your morning planner.
Yeah, and I just want to finish one thought on that too. And it's
Yeah.
inviting the dog to come. I mean, my dog lays right next to me
Mm,
every morning, right? So it's
mhm.
inviting the dog to sit next to you, even inviting your child here, have them read their favorite book or something, that
Yeah.
everybody's quieting down. It's
Mhm.
quiet time for everybody, instead of necessarily allowing chaos. It's like,
Mhm.
this is quiet time,
Mhm.
let's all do this together. So,
Mhm. Beautiful. Thank
um,
you.
so morning planner, here's an interesting thing that in my research that I've been doing is that so many people buy planners, right? They
Yeah.
buy a planner because this planner is going to get me organized. This planner is going to change everything. And so many planners end up in landfills that never get used or get used just a little bit. And a couple of years ago, I did this series called the Wisdom Webinars, and we dove into this a little bit with people. I was working with a planning company, a paper planner company. Can I say that?
Mhm. Mhm.
And what I found in working with this group of people is most of them had never even opened their planners. Like I was talking to them about their planner. They'd never opened it, but just having that planner sitting there, they thought was going to make the difference, and it didn't. It was just one more thing to add to clutter in their lives.
Mhm.
And so what I find and what I've done is created my own planner, which is a single page that, I do my monthly, what do I want for the month, my monthly intentions, and there's a whole thing that I fill out. And then, I refer to that on a daily basis. So, as I wrap up my morning momentum, it's like, okay, what's on my schedule today? What do I have to do? What clients do I have? What other appointments, whatever. And
Mhm.
then it's really looking at what's the purpose of this day today? What are the distractions that could pull me away, like grasshoppers? What, and what do I really want to get out of this day? What connections do I want to make
Mhm.
today? And
Mhm.
then how does this fall into my monthly and weekly goals? Like, where am I pulling this in at? And
Mhm.
by doing that, and then looking the following day at what you did or didn't do the previous day, it's like, especially when you see things over and over again coming to your planner that aren't getting done, especially for that big bright shiny object that you want so badly, and you know
Right.
what, wow, I haven't done anything with it this week. What's
Mhm.
going on? It's
Mhm.
just, again, a time for introspection and to look at it. And sometimes a whole day goes by and I don't go by, because I do have an electric calendar because my clients
Mhm.
book online and all of that.
Mhm.
So that's usually guides me during the day. But it's just the actual writing out of it, on paper every day, that can be recycled. I want to add that part in afterwards.
Yes.
Usually after a couple months, I'll recycle it. I'll go through it, kind of remember it, to see how my time cycles were going, and then I can recycle the paper. So that's really how I feel about the planning piece of it,
Mhm.
and the importance of taking what's on your electric, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I have electric calendar, I'm fine." No, you're not. Because you're not really digging into what you want out of this day.
Mhm.
And I do a little woo woo, but I do a little tarot card pull too, and I
Mhm.
will read from that tarot card and put it on there. Just like, like this morning, I had the Phoenix, the rising Phoenix. I was excited about that.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Well, what I love that you're adding to this is you're putting in your goals and you're leading each day with an intention is what I'm
yes,
hearing. And then you're
definitely.
allowing yourself to reflect back on that and to see where the patterns live and to see, like you said, if there's something you're avoiding, maybe that shiny object that you really want to develop. I really love that. Because it's one thing to write things down. I started writing down my calendar, being analog with it, because it does make a big difference to write versus
Mhm.
just looking at things digitally. There's a different intention behind it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and the
And
recycle.
even sometimes I'll find myself, you know what? I don't want to do that appointment today. Like, I
Right.
just, I
Yeah.
forget it. I don't, whatever. And so it's just, I'm going to reschedule it. I'll do it, whatever. So
Great. I love that. So I quickly, what I want to do too is talk to you about, you have your creativity cycle that you talk
mhm,
about as well.
mhm.
And before we talk about that, I would love to just share with the people who are watching. I see that Tina and Jean have joined us, which is fantastic. And
Hi,
hello,
guys.
you're also a part of the Confidently Speaking community. But you joined Confidently Speaking, which is my program that I have online. It's group coaching program. I use improv to get people comfortably uncomfortable as speakers. And when I talk about speakers, it's not just getting up on stage and speaking. That is a part of it, but it's also getting here on LinkedIn Live. So I always have these as offerings for the people within the community. You could be doing TikToks, you could be doing Instagrams. It's basically podcasts anywhere that you would be using your voice, networking events, you name it. So, Cheri, you've been in this group. I really love having you a part of the group.
No, I
And
love it.
yes, if anything that you can share with our viewers about what that's done for you, what value you've gotten from it.
Oh my, so much. I mean, I've come to love Wednesday afternoons for sure. And it's really interesting. Sometimes if I'm coming in tired, like this week, I was grabbing a cup of tea before I jumped in, and just because I was feeling tired. But I get so energized from it. The people in the group are awesome, and it's really helping me to. It's that whole thing of being yourself, really, and speaking from your heart.
Hmm.
And it's funny as all get out. I mean, I can't tell you. I think every week I laugh until I cry because just the funny things that come up, and just and the thing for me with my speaking is that I do want to be funnier. I want to. I just think humor makes the world a better place, and so that's one of the things that I'm really getting out of it is the humor piece. And yeah, I've laughed a couple of times with jeans, the pleat, and if it doesn't have a pleat, you're a cheat. Yeah,
I know. Yes, Jean became the expert in curtains and pleated curtains versus
Pleated
non-pleated
curtains,
curtains.
right.
Yes. I love that. I love it. Well, it's such an amazing group of humans. It really, really is. And we do have a lot of fun. And if people who are watching are interested, you can visit. I put it up here. It's members at confidently speaking.fun. And
And it
please
is
join
fun.
us.
It
And it
is
is
fun.
fun. I guarantee it's fun. So I want to talk about your creativity circle because I think it's a pretty cool process. And if you don't mind sharing that
Right.
with the audience, that would be
You
wonderful.
bet. So we talked about initially, the bright shiny object is an idea. What is
Yep.
it? It's an idea, just sitting out there, and it's really helping to determine. I actually did this with a client this morning of walking through. She's got this idea of something she's been wanting to do, but it's been going on the back burner. So it's like, okay, why do you want to do it? Why? I mean, our why is the very first thing. Why do you want to do it? Looking at what experiments can you do, because unfortunately sometimes as entrepreneurs we just go all in, which can
Mhm.
work out great sometimes, but also can suck the life out of us. And as we said, it's deciding which ideas to put up on the shelf and which ones not to. So looking at what experiments can you do to validate that idea, to do just snippets of it to see if it's an interest. And it might be just talking to current clients about, what if we did this. So the experiment piece of it, really looking, and this is the big one, is your resources and time. What time do if your schedule is already packed full, what are you going to take off the schedule to be able to put this onto the schedule? And I
Mhm.
see this all the time, especially when people are looking at totally different business ideas with a different target audience and all of that. Like how can you look at the time and the resources that and what are the time sucks that are going
Right.
on?
Mhm.
And we've all got them. If you even just look at a time suck from a technology standpoint, um, I'm very proud to say that I achieved inbox zero. What? And I can't even tell you how good it felt. And I am determined to keep it up
Right.
because like it's just, I mean, that's another thing that distracts us, right? You want to talk about something that takes you away from the bright shiny object. Open your inbox, and everybody's trying to tell you about their idea, and it's the best idea that you ever heard. Even, I'm sorry, LinkedIn, going over on LinkedIn, holy moly, like
Oh, I
there's a
know.
lot.
I know. I mean, God bless LinkedIn, but at the same time, it's like I
Like,
just yes,
what?
yeah, exactly. Boundaries.
Yeah, and what else? This little device right here, right? Our phones, like that's another one that totally, like could I, if I really wanted to do this, what if I make the commitment that I am going to put my phone, lock it away for an hour a day because so
Mhm.
that I could focus on that. So it's
Mhm.
really looking at your resources and times and really how your daily habits affect that. And what's a different habit that I can pick up. The other part of the idea cycle is your champions. Who are the people that are going to help you? Too often, as entrepreneurs, small business people, we try to do it all ourselves, and you need the support. You
Yeah.
can't do it alone. So, who are your champions? And I think we know without going into in depth about it, but champions come in all shapes, sizes, and
Mhm.
forms. I mean, even from your spouse, that they will do dinner, three
Yes.
times a week to help
Mhm.
you out so that you could get something done. So, looking at that. And then the next one, this huge small business and entrepreneurs again is taking it to the marketplace. So, okay, you're going to do this. You're going to create this beautiful, awesome thing, service, whatever it is. But how are you then going to take it to the marketplace? And that's
Mhm.
when many people freeze. And that's when that fear factor comes up, or, oh, I love hearing it, right? I hate marketing. Well, great, because you got to do it if you want to be in business.
Or I'm not a good
Or I
salesperson.
exactly.
Yes.
Well, then, ooh, that's not a good
I'm
thing.
running away. I'm running away.
Exactly. Fear,
Yeah.
fear. So it's looking at that and really figuring out what's the marketing plan. And again, I'm talking about all these things in advance, not after you've spent 6 months
Right.
working on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then the next one is the victory marker. And that is, how do I know when I'm there? How do I know when I've reached the bright shiny object,
Mm.
the idea? How do I know that it's come to life? What
Mhm.
does that look like, feel like, taste like, all of it, right? Just really, and this is where writing this down. It's not just thinking about it because we got so much going on up here,
Mhm.
but it's really it's writing it, putting it down in black and white or purple, whatever pen color you want to use, but or putting it into your computer, whichever you prefer, but doing that. And then the final piece of it is, what new ideas might this spark? So that if I do this, is there ideas that may come off of it that are attached to it? And the reason I think it's important in the cycle is because sometimes we start to go after those ideas, but this idea will really give credence more to
Mhm.
these other ideas than just doing it, going off and doing them by themselves. So
Mhm.
you know that they're there, but now I got to do this idea first. So it
Mm.
helps to kind of categorize the idea a little bit more.
Mhm. I really love how you've laid that out, and I love that it's a circle. I love that it's you start here, but then you see the benefit of where it ends up, and I is it a circle because it's good to kinda go back to that infant stage too, and then go back around again to see
Right.
how you can continue to develop the idea.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly right. Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Sherry, this has been a really fantastic conversation. And I want to share with people who are watching too that you're moving into, you want to start speaking more in
Mhm.
public,
Mhm. Right.
presenting some of these ideas, getting hired and paid to be a speaker and paid. And I think that you have there's a lot of value and your years of experience are incredible. And I wish you tremendous success in this next phase in your career.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I really, a book. I really want to have a book out of this. I've written two other books. There's one of mine sitting right there, "Victory: One Moment at a Time," and but I do really want. So I'm also looking for a publisher and some other things too to help me with that as
You're
well.
on
So
fire. I love
yeah.
it. I love it. Well, I hope that you keep those grasshoppers at bay and stay away, leave my garden alone. And I hope that I'll see some folks in Confidently Speaking come join us. It's a terrific
Yeah,
network of
please,
humans.
please do.
Please do. And thank you, Sherry, so much for this conversation. And we will see you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.